Woody Allen, born 1935. When he's not shooting a film, most of Allen's creative energy goes towards mentally working out the problems of a new story. This is the hard part. Once he's satisfied with the story elements, the writing itself comes easy, and the filmmaking is mostly a chore. But to get the story right requires obsessive thinking, Allen has said, to keep from getting stuck in a rut, he's developed a few reliable tricks. I've found over the years that any momentary change stimulates a fresh burst of mental energy. So if I'm in this room and then I go into the other room, it helps me. If I go into the street, it's a huge help. If I go up and take a shower, it's a big help. So I sometimes take extra showers. I'll be down here in the living room and at an impasse, and what will help me is to go upstairs and take a shower. It breaks up everything and relaxes me. The shower is particularly good in cold weather. This sounds silly, but I'll be working dressed as I am, and I'll want to get into the shower for a creative stint. So I'll take off some of my clothes and make myself an English muffin or something and try to give myself a little chill so I want to get into the shower. I'll stand there with the steaming hot water coming down for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, just thinking out ideas and working on the plot. Then I get out and dry myself and dress and then flop down in the bed and think there. Going out for a walk works as well, although Allen can no longer walk the streets without being recognized and approached, which ruins his concentration. He'll often pace the terrace of his apartment as a substitute, and he uses any little free moments in his day to return to the story he's working on. I think in the cracks all the time, he has said. I never stop. Oh, hello there. I didn't see you guys come in. Welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. Just reading a little bit from Daily Rituals, a little bit about Woody Allen and what he likes to do in the morning. And obviously, Woody's a fan of the shower. The shower, switching rooms, going for a walk, changing his location. We're talking in the chat about Roger Ver, who's reaching out to Jack, one of the founders and creator and CEO of Twitter, asking him to take Bcash, of course. Jack already has a company called Cash App, run by Square, and they take Bitcoin, real Bitcoin, not Bitcoin Cash. Roger, what's happened to you? Give it up, man. Give it up. But yeah, I went to the doctor yesterday, got some tests done. Everyone's down on the fact that I have to spend money on medical insurance, but that's what you have to do if you're self-employed in America. The Canadians were all like, you spend money on medical insurance? My goodness. So what do you got to do? But I'm getting $1,000 in tests for $10. So sweet deal. I don't know. But hopefully I'll be fine, and let's not worry about that. I was looking at something this morning about the demolition of the Riviera Casino here in Las Vegas. It was pretty interesting. This guy made a really good YouTube documentary. He did it all by himself. He snuck into the casino several times and had incredible footage. And the Riviera, in case you don't know, was pretty much featured in all of the movies that you see about Las Vegas because the gaming floor wasn't such a big deal to them. They were more of a residential casino, a place where people would go to stay and go to the pool. They had the showroom where Elvis Presley used to perform. And the Riviera was demolished, not to make way for a new casino, but to make way for a parking lot, right? The Las Vegas Visitors and Tourist Bureau, they bought the Riviera to turn it into a new Las Vegas convention center. It was supposed to be the biggest convention center in the world. Put them ahead of everybody else. But by the time they bought the Riviera and were ready to demolish it, they didn't have the money for their convention center. So they ended up turning the Riviera into a parking lot. But it's interesting to think about Las Vegas and how they don't value their history because Las Vegas is a working town. This is a town designed to make money. It's a cement slot machine in a fake oasis. So of course you don't value your history. You've got to build a new casino. You've got to build a better casino. No one wants to go to your old crappy casino. And it was funny. They showed all the different demolitions of all the other casinos in this video. And it was funny to think about all the cement boxes and how strong these buildings were, but how weak they were when it was time to get rid of them and when it came to flexibility. There's no flexibility in these cement boxes. Uh, but that's a little bit of the introduction today. We might talk about favorite authors if there are no calls today. I've had requests. People want to know what my favorite books are, and favorite authors is way easier than favorite books. Favorite books is really difficult. You have to really pull and split hairs to really get down to it. And you feel like you're leaving out other books. And what if an author has multiple books that are good? So that's coming up later on the show. But let's get to it. Every day when I agree to use Google YouTube Hangouts and then switch account and then I agree again, I wonder why they didn't do it in the opposite order. Why not let me switch accounts first and then agree once rather than twice? But they don't actually use this software. I was watching some clips this morning of Robin Williams on David Letterman. You can check these out on the Mad Bitcoins Twitter account, and also Whoopi Goldberg and Billy Crystal, friends of Robin. And I just, watching those clips, I felt like we squandered a great national resource. And I wish we had taken better care of our Robin Williams. And I know it's a long time ago, it was 4 years ago. But still, just you see these things, they pass on YouTube, and then pretty soon you're watching 4 or 5 different remembering Robin Williams clips and just remembering him. And he was great. So Crypto Poodles wrote into us and said, my team may not be any good at actually playing basketball, but at least they're into crypto. And shout out to the Sacramento Kings, who will be the first team to have cryptocurrency mining machines in their arena. It will be the Imperium model that will mine Ethereum, whatever that means. Whatever that means instead, indeed. And yeah, the guy wrote to me, he says, better tell the Golden Knights to get on the Kings level. And yeah, the Golden Knights should get with it, take that cryptocurrency. And I, of course, had to respond and rub it in the Kings' faces about how terrible they did at the NBA draft. First, they get fleeced in the draft, and now they're mining Ethereum. A series of smart moves by the Sacramento Kings. Check it out tonight on the World Crypto Network around 7 o'clock Pacific time. We'll be interviewing Nick Bhatia, the author of The Time Value of Bitcoin. Too long, didn't read. The HTLCs, no one knows what that means, in the Lightning Network give Bitcoin a path to become a global reserve currency. And he's talking about the hashed time-locked contracts. And basically, he's going to talk about an interest rate or the potential to calculate an interest rate received on Bitcoin held in payment channels. And that this could be a big mover for Bitcoin because people could then invest and hold Bitcoin in the Lightning Network, getting a little bit of interest, essentially expanding the Bitcoin market, making more and more people and more value held in Bitcoin. As you know, Mad Bitcoins has already predicted the top of Bitcoin as infinity value. That is to say, Bitcoin could take in all of the world's value, and we will begin valuing the world's value in Bitcoin, not in dollars. Today is Wednesday, June 27th, 2018. My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is Bitcoin Talk Show. The price of Bitcoin is up 0.56% in the last 24 hours, or really in the last 20 minutes or so, with a high of $6,128, a low of $6,007. That's $1 for 16,370 Satoshis. We're watching the price of Bitcoin live right now, where we recently had a run all the way up to $6,138 before declining a little to $6,086, popping back to $6,124, having a fair amount of volume, 200 or 400 or so, almost enough to get over this large negative sell down to 400. Bitcoin sell to the price of around $5,985. Let's go to CoinDesk for some analysis. Bitcoin price risks another fall below $6,000, the charts say. Ooh, the charts. On Tuesday, Bitcoin closed below the immediate support of $6,108. pouring cold water over the prospects of a corrective rally above a major technical hurdle of $6,425. The failure to capitalize on short-term bullish reversal has shifted the risk in favor of a break below the $6,000 mark, the February low. Even if a drop in prices is seen, Bitcoin could still outperform other cryptocurrencies. Wait a minute, there are other cryptocurrencies? As a break below $6,000 could trigger risk aversion in the markets, forcing investors to venture out of high risk alternative cryptocurrencies and into Bitcoin. Let's go straight to the view. Bitcoin could drop below $6,000 and could test the immediate support of $5,755 and $5,711. A daily close below $5,755 would open the doors to $5,090, the rising wedge breakdown target. On the higher side, only a daily close above 6,425 would abort the bearish view and allow a corrective rally. Bitcoin will likely outperform the other cryptocurrencies, as seen by the bearish breakdown on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. Let's take a look at that for a second. Bollinger Band breakdown and channel breakdown. Looks like Ethereum was going sideways, and suddenly they weren't. So Ethereum is going down, Bitcoin is going up, but Bitcoin is also going down. Quite a lot happening. Facebook reverses its crypto ad ban. As expected, as predicted, this was a temporary ad ban. They're still banning the ICOs, and they say they're only going to allow Bitcoin and altcoins, but the altcoins are ICOs, some of them. Anyway, Facebook is reversing their crypto ad ban. Of course, some were calling for it on Twitter. They were saying, remember when this happened and the price went down a lot? Now that this has been reversed, the price should go up a lot. Nope, not so much. But it is good news. As I said on Twitter, this is excellent news for Bitcoin, but it's not Bitcoin ETF level news. It's not Amazon takes Bitcoin news. So you can donate to this show right now using the QR code on your screen. Ooh, look, someone did. Thank you so much to donor 0.01 Bitcoins, 0.000382299. And I'm going to try to read it in Satoshis. 399,920 Satoshis. I think that's correct. So let's work on that. And thanks so much to the supporters of the World Crypto Network Patreon and the Mad Bitcoins Patreon, both of which are doing very well with 26 patrons and 87 patrons. Imagine if you were a Bitcoin millionaire. What would you do? I'd donate to the Mad Bitcoins Patreon. And maybe a little later, we'll do a reading from To Satoshi with Love, the little novel that I wrote during National Novel Writing Month. I didn't get a chance to do one yesterday because I read a long George Carlin bit. Very cool. And now, more news. This guy, David Gee, sent me the State of the Decentralized Union from June 23rd, 2018. History was made, and he hopes that we would be able to provide a recorded statement or visit next year. And I was very kindly invited to DogeCon, and I was interested, but I haven't really been traveling right now. I've been trying to stay home and get healthy. I didn't know they were having a Congress. Look at this. This is pretty amazing. They've got the Doge rocket from Burning Man. This looks like a rabbit guy. This looks like another furry guy. I know Jackson Palmer's in here somewhere. And they all gave speeches. Hey, there's Jackson, my buddy, and looks super fun. So if they have another one of these congresses, here's one of the distributed dance party guys. They're pretty amazing. So if they have another conference like this next year, I might have to go. This looks pretty great. I don't have to write some speech or something, and definitely deliver it as mad Bitcoin. So this is quite an amazing scene. I can't believe I know they invited me, so I'm not upset, but like, wow, this happened without me. I should have been there. I should have been there. So look at this guy. I mean, phew. And yeah, this should happen more. We should have more I don't want to downplay this, but I want to say like a Congress of the freaks, right? This is a freak Congress in a good way, right? Hunter S. Thompson used to talk about freaks and the freak movement. And what he meant is people that didn't fit into normal reality and people that wanted to create their own realities. And that's what I think a lot of Bitcoin is about, and cypherpunk and this movement that we're in. These are people that don't, I was going to curse, but these are people that don't give an F, right? These are people that I was watching this magician the other day, and he talked about how his brothers were outside playing football and he was inside practicing magic. Right. And this guy was really good. He could move his hands like no one I'd ever seen. Right. That's what these Bitcoin programmers are like. That's what people that are into Bitcoin are like. Everyone's outside playing with the football. We're inside learning the Bitcoin, right? Practicing our skills, getting ready for the next rise or the next fall or the next coin or whatever it is, right? We're learning about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, the distributed internet, all the different things that we've always wanted to build that we're now going to. So I think it's super exciting to see the state of the Doge. You can Google that, check out their conference. And yeah, next year, have another one of these. I'll have to write some cool speech. Give me a chance in advance to write it. They think there should be more cursing on the show. I don't know. A few days ago, there was this one episode where we got 176 dislikes. And I don't know why that was. Some people say maybe it was cursing. I know sometimes when I read a Bukowski poem, or certainly when I read my own book or whatever, I'm going to read the words that are written, right? I'm going to read you the actual words because I think it's dishonest to the work to try to edit it unless it was some kind of, I don't know, forced situation. I don't feel that YouTube forces me not to curse. I do want it to be a family-friendly show. I want people to be able to listen to this. And maybe they're listening in their car and they're like, oh, I'm so glad he didn't say F. But then again, personally, I don't think that those words should have any power. I think all words are words, and we should just talk about lots of words. Oh, people are thinking Bitcoin's mini mooning. This is a mini moon. Oh, I don't know, man. But let's just hold on. Crypto Social Thursday night in Las Vegas. Check it out at Distill at 7 p.m. Join us at bitcoinlasvegas.org. Working on the Bitcoin meetup. Cool stuff. We had an interesting conversation on Twitter. I just want to give a shout out to my friend Ryan Taylor. You should follow his Twitter account at AdjyLeak, ADJY Leak. And he does lots of live streaming for conferences. He's live streaming the Zcash conference right now, and it's very cool. And Ryan might need some new equipment. And just a reminder that a lot of the videos that you see on the internet are made by people independently. And they all have to buy their own equipment, and it's super expensive. And live streaming is very hard, and it only works if you have the right equipment. So shout out to Ryan. Let's hope that he gets a grant or gets a new camera or whatever he needs soon. And Ryan also helped us out last year when he live streamed the HCPP conference in Prague, which we're also hoping to do again in a few months. Spoiler alert, we're hoping to get Ryan to help too. So maybe if Zcash Foundation buys Ryan some nice gear, we could use that for the WCN live stream in Prague as well. And I don't want to harp on this over and over again, but I keep seeing these charts going around Twitter saying that Zuko, who's a computer scientist and a mathematician and seemed like a nice guy, I met him briefly, that he's getting paid $300,000 a month from that Zcash monthly mining thing. They also said that the Zcash Foundation is burning $500,000 a month just in operating costs and so forth. So there's just so much money going around in this ecosystem, and you wonder where it's all going to. It's burning in piles, I think. So I wonder why they aren't donating it more to the community and content creators. And I guess it's because I didn't sell out and get a Zcash logo branded on my arm, or I didn't sell out and get a Dash Dark Coin logo or a Bitcoin Cash logo or any other logos. But you'd think there'd be some value in that too, right? As much as you want to support the people with the logos branded all over them, you could also look for the one without the logos. And yeah, I was thinking about grants, non-repayable funds given to one party. How does a grant work? What's a grant? Why don't we have any Bitcoin grants? Why do they only have like Bitcoin Cash grants? Why do they only have Dash and Zcoin grants? And maybe it's because we don't have any Patron. Patron is a brand of tequila products provided by the Patron Spirits Company. Like all tequilas, it's produced in Mexico from the maguey of the blue agave plant. Jokes. It's a patron. A patron is a person who gives financial or other support to a person, organization, cause, or activity. Cause, like Bitcoin. And also, a patron can be a customer, especially a regular one, of a store, restaurant, or theater. And that's what they never did for Bitcoin when they tried the merchant thing. And that's what they're going to find out for Bitcoin Cash. There are no patrons. No one comes back. We haven't reached that level yet. And as Kevin, the Bitcoin terrorist, as he's calling himself now, says, the principles that underpin Bitcoin can't be corrupted because Bitcoin isn't tied to a single person that can be leveraged. And I think that's a big thing to remember about Bitcoin. Every new altcoin that comes out and claims to be the next Bitcoin has a problem. Who's telling you that it's the next Bitcoin? That must be some marketing guy paid to promote it. Bitcoin doesn't have anything like that. And in a lot of ways, that's why we're growing slower. That's why Bitcoin isn't spreading as much as you think it should. These other coins do have marketing. They do have people paid to talk about it. And they don't just allow their people to, go out on the vine and fail. But still, Bitcoin survives, Bitcoin endures, Bitcoin doesn't care. As Kevin says, Bitcoin is to crypto what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was to the early UFC. We created this sport, and we're going to kick all the overly specialized posers' asses. And Nick Scabo said, it looks like yet another crypto expert is clueless about the last 40 years of computer science. For instance, Byzantium and Nakamoto consensus and similar that make an extremely reliable network out of unreliable servers, which all sane cryptocurrencies, nice, in various forms implement. Great work here from Nick Scabo. May or may not be Satoshi Nakamoto. And he says that these Bitcoin protocols allow you to make an extremely reliable network out of unreliable servers. And that's really what it is. And that's what they're not seeing. When you make your own internal private Bitcoin copy, it's not getting the real features here. The real features are censorship resistance. The real feature is this unreliable network that is yet reliable. Right? We're able to see both sides of this. It's pretty amazing. And as they're saying here, they're talking about how these groups have to be available 24/7 to run the network. And they're probably talking about EOS and the EOS government problems and how they created a government, and that's their problem. See, I'm becoming more libertarian every day. If only people would stop calling me statist. Oh no. I don't know if you guys want it, but they're giving me World Cup updates in the chat. So Germany 0, Korea 2. This is insane. You're telling me Germany is losing to Korea? Woo! Spoiler, but hot damn, that is a big story. So I'm going to bring the chat up and we'll chat about the World Cup if you guys want. But yeah, Mexico played well. So this is great. This guy says, I wish I knew who did this so I could credit them. And it's this guy's on his computer. Click, click, click. By continuing to use this site, you agree to share your cookies. Yeah, sure, whatever. And then it's Cookie Monster in the shades, and he says, fool. So very funny comic. And Bitcoin, watch out below from Forbes. One of my favorite signals, mining rewards. I've read this before. He pastes the crash over the old crash. It's pretty funny. He even called it copy pasta. So this guy's pretty cool. Can't bag on this guy. But he says that the copy pasta, here's the crash, so-called. You got to stop calling it a crash. It's more like a nice decline or something. I don't know. But the crash of 2018, and then he cuts and pastes this so-called crash of 2014 onto this one. And you can see, according to what he's looking at, we would have quite a bit more downtime and sideways time to go before we swing back up. But once again, the past doesn't predict the future. It's fun to look at the charts and draw lines and say, I know what I'm talking about, and I'm the only one, and you should listen to me. But that's nonsense. And even this guy says, of course, copy pasta is not fate. But with mining rewards cratering, it's looking bearish until the day that, and now again, I don't know what he's talking about here. You have to be really uninformed to not know that they haven't said Bitcoin's dead 300 times. Seriously. Like, if you cover this space and you don't know that they say Bitcoin is dead 300 times, and it's embarrassing every time you say it's dead. Every time you're like, I'm the one, I'm going to call it dead. It's embarrassing. So I wouldn't have said that, but copy pasta is not fate. It's good stuff. U.S. state seeks to confiscate $24 million in dark web Bitcoin. Let's see what's going on. The District of Maryland, 2 men, both residents of the state, who allegedly manufactured drugs and distributed them through darknet marketplaces. What's interesting about this one, they apparently have, $5 million in cash and 4,000 Bitcoins. And they probably never even made a single donation to Mad Bitcoins. It's sad, tragic. But I do wish one point that one of these guys would have some kind of a Robin Hood clause, where if they don't check into their account within 2 or 3 days, it sends all the money to charity. Wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't it be great if it said, the FBI tried to seize 4,000 Bitcoins from the drug criminals, and the drug criminals had the money donated to Normal. And now the U.S. government's trying to get the money back from Normal, but they receive the Bitcoin fair and square. That's a story I'd like to read. Could somebody write that for me? But instead, we get to read stories like that guy who died with $500 million of unreachable Ripple or whatever it was. So they're going to auction off the Bitcoin if you're looking to buy $24 million worth of dark web Bitcoin. Get it now. Cryptocurrency universe expands far beyond Bitcoin. The code base is increasing and improving every day as computer science graduates from top schools jump on board. And once again, call me a Bitcoin maximalist. Call me a Bitcoin maximalist 100 times. Pretend that it's an insult. Pretend that you're getting one up on me because you made some money short term. La, 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 la. That's great. What about long term? What about changing society? What about creating cryptocurrency? Bitcoin's going to do that. You guys can print all the money and all the stock certificates that aren't stock certificates that you want. But in the end, we'll see who's still here. It'll be Bitcoin. Japan's next economic boom will be Bitcoin and blockchain fueled. That's not how you spell fueled. I'm not a great speller, but headlines guy, come on. Japan's economy, which for years has struggled to return to its 1980s growth levels. If only we still wanted cameras. If only we still wanted cameras. Japan's blockchain conference in Tokyo. They're hoping that it'll be kickstarted by a technological boom. And this isn't quite the news that you're looking for, but this is on its way, right? What we're looking for is one of these countries or one of these banks to betray all the other countries and all the other banks. Let's just work out some basic truisms, right? If I'm right and Bitcoin is the greatest thing since sliced bread. All of these banks know it, right? All of these governments know it. All of these smart people know it. Even the ones that are hawking blockchains, even the ones that are out there, get yourself a private blockchain. It's going to solve all your problems. It's an amazing thing. Why, goodness, it's immutable and it knows the diamonds are clean and it'll tell you your food is clean and it solved all of our supply chain worries. But really, your supply chain problems seem to be that you never digitized your supply chain. I'm very pleased you're going to store your supply chain in a database instead of pieces of paper, and it's going to be a plus and a minus because basically, true story. I worked on a gasoline litigation case, and I could tell you when they deliver gasoline to stations, they use pieces of paper called bills of lading. And that's what they're basically talking about with all the supply chain stuff is they use a piece of paper and they sign it. It goes here and it goes there. And maybe these days they scan them, but in the old days, I got to scan them. So it's great to digitize these records, but it's not enough. The blockchain is not enough. Bitcoin is the real thing. Bitcoin maximalism is the real thing. Bitcoin is the real thing. Cryptocurrency is Bitcoin because the brains are joining us. I guess some of the brains are getting bribed and paid a whole bunch of money to work on Zcash because they got some of that bounty thing where every month they get paid to work on Zcash. And some people are getting paid to work on Dash because every month they have that thing that gets paid. And Bcash people are bribing people all over the place. But when it really comes down to, and you say, what project am I going to work on? Am I going to work on the Human Genome Project? Or am I going to work on some secondary genome project? And like, no. I'll work on the human one. I'm going to work on DNA. You can work on, whatever it is, Freddy DNA, some other thing, DNA Cash. Bitcoin most likely to gain mass adoption. No shit. Bitcoin likely to gain acceptance. 60 professionals, survey participants overwhelmingly see Bitcoin as the leader of the cryptocurrency space. Look, they try to include Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin and Ethereum. See this 43%? See this 17%? Yeah. Big brother and little brother. They're so closely related. So yes, Bitcoin. Interest in Bitcoin set to double in Europe. Doubling in Europe. Bitcoin on the ledge of another heavy fall. So interest is starting to get good. Technology is good. Price still bad. Bitcoin is an enthusiastic social movement, says Nobel economist. And this is that Robert Schiller, who doesn't like Bitcoin, says that it's faddished human behavior. But now he says that Bitcoin is a social movement. Dun, dun, dun. The problem with a movement, it's so hard to get rid of an idea. And Bitcoin is an idea. But yes, I will talk about authors. That's a possibility. But now I'm going to see what's up with you in the chat. Germany out of the World Cup. Time to talk about football, they say. Cliff High knows everything. Nasty dark web Bitcoins. And who is Facebook buying Coinbase? Yeah, Jeremy put out a tweet. I like Jeremy very much, but I don't think Jeremy knows anything about Facebook buying Coinbase. He was just talking more of an idea. He was saying the way that this space is growing, the way that things are getting bigger, it would be great if they did buy Coinbase. But more likely, here's what we're going to do instead. Coinbase makes their own cryptocurrency because everyone loves printing money. After Facebook's done printing money, they try to trick people into buying it. They try to get people to use it. It goes on for years and years. Then it either fails or gets hacked, or they give up and they say, hey, we should have just used Bitcoin from the whole beginning. But we couldn't because we had the chance to print money. And we wanted to print money. So saying in the chat that Coinbase should print their own coin. And in a way, they'll do that. Coinbase will IPO. Coinbase will be a stock market darling. They won't sell to Coinbase. They're going to IPO. You have to, at this point, the social networking movie, as they're saying, is in reverse. Brian Armstrong is the new Zuckerberg. Brian Armstrong is the one who's going to say no to Yahoo and no to Google and no to Microsoft. And he's the belle of the ball, right? He's the one everybody wants to dance with and then take home. So congrats to them. They built a nice bank. It's a very nice bank. But remember, Coinbase is not something that we need long term. Coinbase is a bridge. Coinbase is a bridge that allows people to get their dollars into Bitcoin. Once you get your dollars into Bitcoin, you don't need that bridge anymore. At a certain point, once we get enough people over the bridge, then you could just get more Bitcoin from them and they could get more Bitcoin from you. And we could keep trading it back and forth. So, no, I don't think that Coinbase is the long-term best company ever, but they are a strong play in the Bitcoin space because they are interested in regulation. Coinbase wants to be a bank. They bought a bank. They've got GDAX and Coinbase Pro all set up like a bank. They want to be a bank. So it goes. But that's not what everybody wants. And they're saying in the chat, Facebook wants to be a bank. Interesting side note on this, Amazon is actually going to be a bank soon. Amazon did some surveys and people would much rather have their money held in Amazon than anywhere else. And plus, since you're spending all your money in Amazon anyway, why not let them hold it before I give it to them anyway? So, yeah, Amazon Bank, Facebook Bank, Coinbase Bank. You know who we left out? Google. Why wouldn't Google want to be a bank? Google takes money sometimes, although I'm not sure for what. I suppose advertising. But yeah, lots of banks in our future, huh? And now, drank some tea. Gonna go ahead and open up the phone lines here. I'm gonna unmute this account. Bada boom. And you can call us now on Skype at SKYPE WorldCryptoNetwork. All one word. We did have a missed call. Make sure to have a quiet room, a microphone, headphones, and maybe a glass of water. It's important to turn your speaker down or to pause your YouTube video if you're going to call in, because I'll pretty much put you right on the air. So, say in the chat that Facebook is a data bank. It's a bank of data. And maybe, yeah, data is the only thing we really make that's valuable. You are not valuable, but your data is valuable. The choices you make. Excuse me. I've often thought that way about the computer, that the user input should be valued and that everything the user does is unique, and that the computer, as great as it is, and it can do a lot of great things for me, can't do anything the computer can do. It's nothing unique like the user. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from? Oh, Skype is circling. Skype is saying connection lost. Maybe that's Skype. Maybe that's the remote desktop thing. But it's always good to test these things live. All right, so call dropped off, but you can give us another try. Maybe it'll work this time. People say in the chat that we should all be our own banks. And that's what should use Hangouts. I can't use Hangouts because I'm using Hangouts. Come on, think about it. You can't run two Hangouts. And yeah, it's so bad if you had to create a fake email account and give it to Skype. Boy, that would be tough for you. People have such a hard time. I do not use that product. It's like that whole thing I'm saying about the blocks and the barriers in people's minds. I used to have a thing for a while where I was like, I was so sick of PCs. I was tired. I used Windows and everything for decades, and I was like, oh, I'm so sick of Windows. I refused to get a Windows machine. And because I didn't get a Windows machine, I didn't mine Bitcoin. And I could have mined Bitcoin for fun, just for kicks, where, back in the day, it was a CPU and you turn on a program and that program starts spitting out Bitcoins. You're like, ah, these are worthless. It was just like when I used to do SETI at home and I would search for extraterrestrials and not find any. And I would do the prime number thing and all the other distributed application things. Yeah, I used to just run those in my tray on my computer and try to get more of them. And one time I was at the computer labs and I managed to get all the computers in the computer labs to run that program. And then, boy, was I looking for aliens really well. But yeah, I could have done that with Bitcoin, but I had that block in my brain where I couldn't use a PC. I couldn't buy a PC. But in hindsight, going out buying a $500 PC at Fry's just to run that program to try it out would have been a good idea. So you never know what you're missing when you have a block. And if you wanted to call us now on Skype, you could have probably figured out how to create a fake email and a Skype account and done whatever. But you would have had to use Microsoft. So it would have destroyed you. I think they even have a Linux version of Skype. But it's usually pretty good. We get calls from all over the world here on the World Crypto Network. And we especially like it when you give us a thumbs up down below. I know that sounds wrong, but YouTube judges these videos based upon how many thumbs up they receive. Thumbs down actually, I think, promote the video as well because YouTube's just looking for interaction. But the more thumbs up that you get, the more people see your video. So right now, YouTube's comparing all the live videos against each other. And they're saying, which ones do people like? Well, Bitcoin, nobody likes that. But if they look at that thumbs up thing and they're like, gosh, like 100, 200 people, they all like this Bitcoin thing, even though the mainstream media says it's garbage and it's dead and it's dying and that it's going to go to zero and it's tulips. People still listen and they talk about this Bitcoin every day. So yeah, you have to give us a thumbs up every day. It's a bummer. But also that way you can create a YouTube account, you can subscribe and you can get notifications and you don't even have to subscribe to any other channels. You could just subscribe to this channel, nothing else. Don't even have to use the rest of YouTube. But if you want to, you could watch the rest of YouTube as well. And you could take this advice with you and you could like all of their videos too. And that's why I'm promoting things like AP Bio on NBC. AP Bio is a great comedy with Patton Oswalt and that guy Dennis from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and has a similar sensibility to Always Sunny. And we're the only ones to save it. So it's starting its second season soon. I watched the first season in the last couple of days. It was amazing. But basically, Dennis from Always Sunny in Philadelphia is now a Harvard-educated philosophy professor. And he's being forced to teach advanced placement biology in Toledo, Ohio, or wherever Toledo is. And he hates it and he hates the people. And he's just super sarcastic and nihilistic. And he just despises them. So you got to check out AP Bio. But we're here talking about Bitcoin. And I can tell everyone's been pushing the like button because there's a bunch of new viewers here. So new viewers, the price of Bitcoin is $6,093. This is still up like 120% since last year. So if you have the patience to dollar cost average, which is like buying $100 of Bitcoin a week or $10 a week, and if you could keep that up for a whole year, you wouldn't care at all about this price because you'd been investing reasonably and slowly using dollar cost averaging. More than likely, though, you're probably just going to put your whole wad in at once. And you're going to rush to the market like a gambler rushing to bet on a horse and slam it all in and see what happens. So that can work too. I'm not saying that doesn't work, but you have options. And I would suggest use your percentages. Maybe invest half of it right now and invest the rest $100 a week, something like that. You've got options. But be sure to subscribe down below and also check out the World Crypto Network podcast on iTunes, where we've got so many shows, Noted, and what else it said in the list here? Not Ghosted or Supernatural. We have neither of those shows. Adam Meister, Andy Hoffman, they're all there on the World Crypto Network podcast on iTunes. You can subscribe. So It's that time of the show. People are asking me about their favorite altcoin. What's your favorite altcoin? I like Bitcoin. So, no, it says, what are your thoughts on IOTA? I don't know. I think I got some way back in the day for like 10 cents and sold it for $1 or something. So that was fine. But no, I'm not really good at buying those things. And yeah, I was gonna do the Tangle joke too, but now they're already doing it in the chat. You guys are spoilers. But yeah, I think IOTA's got a really questionable back end. And yeah, there's probably a pre-mine and it was tied up in some exchanges that are kind of questionable. And yeah, I would stick with Bitcoin. But if you wanna speculate on some crazy altcoins, and if they go up and you sell them for profit, good job. If they go up and they go down and you feel bad, then bummer, man. You got to sell them at profit. So this guy says his favorite altcoin is the quarter. It's funny there were actually altcoins called like nickels and dimes, and they had blockchains, and they were revolutionary blockchain technologies, but they were just altcoins. So they say Potcoin has Dennis Rodman. Yeah, they have Dennis Rodman today. They don't have Dennis Rodman back in the day. Come on. I don't know why, but Crypto Daddy's stitches fell out. Maybe he was laughing too much. I doubt it. This has been that funny since I read George Carlin out loud. But we did have some people trying to call us on Skype at World Crypto Network. Remember, this is an international interactive talk show. It's not just you. It's not just me. It's the audience, right? We're not. This isn't the Thomas Hunt Network. I guess it could be. Could name everything after myself like some kind of greedy pig. But instead, I'm here talking to you. So, oh, they see I was a Feathercoin fanboy. Oh yeah, Thomas, why are you pumping Feathercoin 4 years ago? I know he's joking, but I want to go with this anyway. 4 years ago, you were pumping Feathercoin, and I lost my house on Feathercoin. We didn't have that problem 4 years ago. I still told people. I still told them, buy Bitcoin as an investment, buy it on the side. If you have a lot, sell a little bit. These ideas have been out there. But the same thing with Feathercoin. Buy a little bit. Like it says in the chat, BitConnect is still worth 44 cents a coin. It never went to zero. Never to zero. So same thing with Feather. I'm sure you can get it for more than zero, which is amazing. Crypto Daddy says Rodman saved the world by opening up North Korea with his incredible Potcoin funded donation trips. So funny stuff. But yeah, peace with North Korea. I hate to tell you guys, but they already said they're restarting their nuclear program. Even the information that I heard said that they needed to make a temporary deal anyway because they had blown up so many nuclear bombs inside of their mountain that the mountain was about to collapse inward. And as you know, if you're holding radiation in a mountain, which is a great way to hold radiation, if it collapses inward, then the radiation comes out and the whole thing goes bad. And then from a diplomatic perspective, if you can't test bombs for the next year and you agree, you say, hey, I'll make a deal. I'm not going to test bombs for the next year. You didn't give anything up, right? You just made a good deal. You're the opposite of the Sacramento Kings. You're the opposite. You're the anti-Kings. So, oh, people lost their lives on Steam. That's a bummer, man. I like Steam, but I don't know about buying it. When I really think about how many people there are that want to pay so that they have a powerful upvote, I don't think of that many people. When I think about how many people want to post content and get a little bit of money, I think there's a lot of people. So I don't know if they can monetize it in some other way or sell ads or sell the whole thing to Facebook or Google or something. But yeah, it's good for content creators. It's rough on investors. And I've pretty much been saying that since the beginning, even on their platform where they were upset at me and they're like, why are we giving money to this guy? He's telling us that it won't work. And maybe that's why. It's a good idea. It's a good idea to tell people that and to tell them the truth. So, But we're keeping an eye on the stories today in Bitcoin. Later on today, we're going to do an interview with Nick Bhatia. I might even be saying that right, about the time value of Bitcoin. Very interesting stuff tonight on the World Crypto Network. If you check it out last night, we had the San Francisco Bitcoin meetup. A guy was talking about the Lightning Network, and I think I just remembered he was talking about submarine swaps. Alex Bosworth from the Lightning Network. Sounds very interesting. Check that out on the World Crypto Network right here, San Francisco Bitcoin meetup. My buddy Travis is keeping that up. This is Bitcoin Talk Show. It's 9:25 a.m. My name is Thomas Hunt, and you're tuning in for the Bitcoin. Yeah, I pronounce things correctly, not. But it's okay. It's almost impossible. The price of Bitcoin is $6,099. It's up 0.4% in the last 24 hours, but really in the last 20 minutes or so. We had a sudden spike all the way up to 6,112, then a fall to the 6,099 position. Bitcoin price risks another fall below 6K. It's all happening on Bitcoin. But we're keeping the call lines open and the donation lines as well. You could donate right here. Send Bitcoin to Bitcoin Talk Show. Corey in the chat says Bitcoin needs to hurry up and hit 5K so he can buy. The problem is then it'll go to 4, then it'll go to 3, or it won't. Then it'll go to 10 and 20 and 60. I don't know. It's nonsense. But you could support the show by subscribing with your credit card at patreon.com/WCN. The World Crypto Network Patreon has 26 patrons donating more than $193 a month to keep this show on the air. We've also got 87 patrons on the Mad Bitcoins Patreon at patreon.com/madbitcoins. $458 a month. Woo! If no one calls in, we might do a reading of To Satoshi with Love. I was going to talk about favorite authors. Not sure. I might do a little of that. I think favorite authors is such a big topic that we could really do multiple days on this. I kind of want to see what the Goodreads hottest books of the summer are. I don't have high hopes for this list. Here we go. Summer is a dream. It's amazing. All right. So some kind of fiction I've never heard of. In this unforgettable follow-up to Bear Town, a book I've never read, the citizens of a small town in Sweden rally around their local hockey team, even as hostile rivalry threatens to destroy friendships, families, and the fragile peace of a volatile community. So funny stuff. But these are just kind of stories and stuff. I don't know any of these. I could make fun of them, but I don't know anything about them. So, but most read authors, I've read Kurt Vonnegut, Philip K. Dick, Charles Bukowski, Douglas Copeland, and John Steinbeck. That's my top 5. 24 Vonnegut books. That's a lot. But yeah, I'll talk more about authors another time. I'm probably just going to make the whole show about that. So that way, if you don't like books, and you don't like learning, and you don't like thinking, you don't have to watch. How do I make money off of that? I don't know. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Thomas. It's Sean from Pasadena, California.
Hey, Sean. How's it going? What's your thoughts on Bitcoin today?
I've been listening to you since your number 8 show in 2013, and I've been accumulating Bitcoin slowly but surely, being mocked along the way. My question to you is, since Bitcoin will, assuming the protocol doesn't get compromised, it'll be here forever. When do you think we'll reach an inflection point where even if people are buying just fractions of a Bitcoin here and there, where the world will realize, there's only 21 million of these, and we really have to start hoarding them. Starting with big banks, investment funds, and then eventually central banks.
Well, I think that's really the question. And I do think it'll catch on like a wildfire, that it'll be dominoes. Like you're saying, there's different categories. So it really comes down to which category of person gets it first. Is it going to be the mass population? How could that happen? Think about it country by country. If a country has a bad currency, if they have good technology, good infrastructure, and Wi Fi, if they get into Bitcoin, they could be the country that has the powerhouse. Then it could spread country to country, kind of like just a virus, kind of like I would say, not to be critical of these things, but Islam or socialism. The same way that we saw the USSR and the idea spread to Soviet Russia and then China, we saw the ideas of Islam spread country to country before the Crusades. I mean, the original Islamic explosion after Muhammad. And I think the same thing could be said about Bitcoin. This is a thought virus. It gets in people's head. Like you said, there's only 21 million. So if you can get your hands on one, it still seems pretty good. But will it be the people? Will it be the investment banks? Or will it be the governments and the government banks, the central banks? And like I was saying at the start of the show, it's really a bunch of cabals, right? They all are in league with each other and they don't want to give up what they're currently doing because it's incredibly profitable. So, but in the same way, if you see what you're doing is going down and you see something else is coming up, eventually there's that point in the middle where the two line up. And at that point, somebody's going to jump off and join Bitcoin. Might be a country, might be a central bank, might be an investment bank or a commercial bank, or it might be the people of a country or the people of some kind of subgenre. Think about it right now. The NFL is way more popular than Bitcoin. That's going to change, right? The NFL has problems. They have concussions, all these other things, but they have all these TV shows that are on every week about the NFL. They broadcast their games everywhere, even worldwide. The World Cup, same thing, same example, better international example. Bitcoin should be bigger than the World Cup. Eventually, we don't know how long it's going to take, but I think it'll be a viral firestorm, and I think it'll take off. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered everything. If I could ask you one more question.
All right.
How do we know that these hardware wallets don't have backdoor access? It seems like everyone's promoting hardware wallets, from Andreas to almost anyone in the space who is looking to secure their coins. You know, is it possible that if these hardware wallets, specifically Ledger, if they go bankrupt and they don't have, I'm not familiar with the techno jargon, but you plug in your Nano S and you have to go to your Chrome app. What if that app isn't there anymore? Like, who would jump in to save the day if that day comes?
Well, I'm pretty sure if you have your key written down with the words, you could import those words into pretty much any Bitcoin wallet. So they still do work on the basic Bitcoin system where they're holding your private key and those words are your private key expressed as words. So you would be able to get your Bitcoin back. You might have to go buy. Well, they're saying no, it's not. Sometimes not. I'm not sure what they're saying, but we'll see what the chat says. But so you'd probably be okay. That's one thing.
The BIP39 supported wallet. But how do we know that the coder for these hardware wallets doesn't have, your private key? They can access it at any time.
Sure. It pretty much comes down to trust and risk. I'm not a computer scientist. I do a little bit of code here and there, but I would have to trust. So what we have to do is we have to say, has this code been audited? Has the audits been public? Is Trezor or Ledger hiding something? Things like this. And independent tests could be done. People could monitor their system to see if it's sending out information. But basically, you're making a decision to trust Trezor or Ledger, or KeepKey or Digital Bitbox or whoever you go with. In the same way, when you use bitaddress.org to create a Bitcoin address, you are trusting their JavaScript and their randomizer. And there was a problem in the JavaScript randomizer, and it may have made some of those addresses so you could guess them, so you could guess the keys. So this could happen anywhere. You could make your Bitcoin address direct from the Bitcoin reference client, but you'd have to download the whole blockchain, which used to take a week, but now must take much longer. So it can be very difficult to actually, to store your Bitcoin. A lot of people in the old days used to buy an extra laptop and then store the Bitcoin on there, at least one copy. Maybe you'd buy 2 extra laptops or 2 USB drives, something like this. But what's good about a old laptop is that you can disable the Wi-Fi, you can disable the network card, you can really try to make a computer that no one could get in or out of. But in the same way, they also find ways to eavesdrop on computers by listening to hard drives at a distance. They can turn your phone microphone on and listen to you. There's all kinds of different ways. So you just have to decide your level of risk and trust. So I think that's why certainly wealthy people who have billions of dollars or whatever like a system like Zappo, because Zappo is probably seeing to the randomness and seeing to the creation of these addresses and then putting them in their Swiss vaults or whatever it is deep under the ground. That's one way to store them. For the rest of us, we kind of have to trust Trezor and Ledger and hope that they're audited and tested. And I assume they are. I assume you could find out more information about this. I assume Andreas or someone like that would be hired, maybe Peter Todd, hire him to break it and see if he can. But yeah, we're right now we're trusting them. If it got wrecked, it got wrecked. So yeah, it would be a big deal.
Yeah, you're right. If that happened, I mean, I'm sure there's people with, hundreds of millions on their hardware devices. Be a disaster.
It might be a good idea to learn how to make paper wallets or get a Piper wallet printer or do something. I mean, again, if you have more than $1 million, you should put it on at least multiple devices. So everybody's got to think about that. And it can be hard because your investment could have been worth a few $100,000 and now it's worth a few million and you don't know what to do and you're keeping it on your phone wallet. You need to do something else. So everyone needs to think about that with their investment, whether it's a few thousand or a few million. So.
All right. Thank you so much for your help.
Thanks so much for the call and give us a call anytime.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And they're saying in the chat, you can also generate a address without downloading the entire blockchain. So there are options out there. It's not really a big thing for normal people, but it is something to think about if you want to think about the randomness and the risk and where you get your address from. And if you can trust Trezor and Ledger, all those things, they're suggesting you could roll dice and create paper wallets. I've heard of that. That's possible. Seems like it would take a lot of math. I don't know. I think there's a YouTube video out there, some guy doing it, and you can watch him. And I don't know, maybe it takes half hour, an hour. But if you're really serious about securing your Bitcoin and you want to do it with the dice. They say, yeah, use Gabriel Devine's lava lamp. That's the way to do it. Lava lamps were used to create the early randomness for cryptography. They're pretty random. But yeah, don't use a website. You can't trust a website like the Brain Wallet thing or Bitaddress. Bitaddress, you could even download it and do it offline. That's how I used to do my paper wallets. Not sure if that's so good anymore with their randomness problem and with the potential. The potential amount of money that Bitaddress could have stolen from everyone really makes it worthwhile for them to try to steal it. So if there was a way, you'd imagine they would have done it. Silence. We're taking your calls live on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word. Give us a call now. You can install Skype. It's free. It's worldwide. It's global. Try to keep this open for a little bit longer, and then we're going to move on into the reading. Not that much happening in Bitcoin today. We had that little pump up. It was kind of exciting. It's getting the show ready. Price jumped up. Well, jumping up is 61.30 these days, but still, it was exciting. And just been hanging out in Vegas. Got the Bitcoin meetup coming up tomorrow night. Got an interview tonight with the author talking about interest on the Lightning Network. And people were down on the Lightning Network because you get paid for holding Bitcoin. They're worried about the hub and spoke, but maybe it's a good thing. Hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Thomas. This is Mauricio from Long Beach calling again.
How's it going, man?
Pretty good. I wanted to talk about the 90s and the computers and coming up. And what do you remember?
Oh, I remember everything, man.
Yeah.
I remember computers from the 80s. I remember in my 4th grade class, they had an Apple IIc.
And how the cypherpunks were fighting against the government to use 128 encryption instead of 40-bit encryption. You remember that?
Sure, yeah. If you wanted to download PGP in the old days, you had to agree to this like page-long thing where you had to agree not to export PGP to other countries, right? Because certain countries like Iran and Libya, things like this, they didn't have encryption, and the U.S. government was counting on you to keep it out of their hands. Naturally, they could have just agreed.
You can
to
sell
this.
it overseas. I was watching a documentary on it. I sent it to you. I told you if you enjoy reading, enjoy the subtitles.
Yeah. I'll look at it. It looks good. And I think they have a lot of good documentaries about that because it was such an interesting time with encryption and everything. And that's the same thing where they used to say if you encrypted your email, you must be some kind of drug dealer or some kind of criminal. And now they say if you use Bitcoin, you must be some kind of drug dealer or some kind of criminal. And it's the same thing. When I was into MP3s, I was very early in 1997 and installed it on the command line and everything. And I knew instantly everyone would want this. Everyone loved music and they wanted to carry it around with them. And we started to get the hard drive based players and the iPods and that kind of thing. But it was an instant thing. And the same thing with Bitcoin. When I first saw it and I heard about it, I said, oh, that's World of Warcraft money. It was obvious to me that the early people would get rich. It had already gone up from $1 to $30 at that point. And I was like, oh, well, I guess that's it. The early people got rich. I'm not one of them. And I just put it to the side and didn't worry about it because I figured, how can you trick people into using this World of Warcraft money? And it turned out when I looked at it a few years later, BitPay and Coinbase had made it really easy to use Bitcoin. And you could just log into these websites and move it around and do that kind of thing. And it was at that point that I was like, well, this is it. Bitcoin's going to be the one. And it's been awesome since then. So.
Yeah, I like how in the documentary they say how like companies like CNET and Netscape, they were to move their operations to a subsidiary company in another country, so then the developers there technically didn't develop the 128 encryption in America, so they could sell it. This reminds me just of the ICOs right now. You can't sell an ICO here, so you move, you go to another country so you can sell it. It's like a circle coming back around with the technology.
It really is. And especially with China, at least temporarily banning Bitcoin and banning ICOs, and Facebook even banning Bitcoin and ICO ads. People see anything new, they try to react to it by banning it.
They took that back, didn't they?
Yeah, it never
Facebook
works, man. Never works.
Allow it.
Yeah. Well, I remember Apple wouldn't allow Bitcoin wallets on the iPhone for a while there. There was this strange period where if you had installed the Coinbase wallet last week, you could have it. But if you want to install it this week, you can't. And it was really hard to tell people to use Bitcoin then. You're like, oh, let me tell you about Bitcoin. Do you have an Android phone?
I watched that episode with you. You guys were saying Android or Apple, and you guys were like Android.
It was rough, but eventually Apple came around and they re-added the Bitcoin wallets, just like Facebook. Apple was creating their own competing product called Apple Pay, and they knew how bad it would look if they blocked all the eBay or all the Bitcoin wallets from Apple. So same thing, Facebook had a ban on it, but they're probably making their own cryptocurrency. So it looks pretty bad if they block all the other cryptocurrency advertising and then come out with their own. So that's what I think that's about.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to bring up real quick, maybe get your input on it. Since now we have to get people to be using Bitcoin and so that they can learn about it. I told you I was in a band, and we do backyard shows maybe twice a month. So there's at least 300 to 200 people showing up, and they don't know anything about this because they just show up for the music, the balloons, and the bud. But I wanted to. Since we advertise the shows on like Instagram and all that, I wanted to like promote Bitcoin as like, if you download a wallet and you send me your QR code, I will give you Bitcoin so that you can use that to enter the show. You know what I'm saying? So that way they would have to use it to get into the show. Basically, they're getting into the show for free.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Download a wallet. They'd have to send me their QR code on like a DM, on my band's DM, and I would give them some Bitcoin. Because I mean, we only charge like $2 to get in at the door, at a backyard ska show. Sure. So yeah, that way they would be incentivized to use it. Because even these kids are I've seen them from 13 all the way to 30 at a backyard, and the young ones, they don't have money. Sometimes they don't even have $5 to get into the show. But if I'm going to give it to them in Bitcoin so they can pay at the door with Bitcoin, then they're getting into a free show. I'm thinking it's like a win-win to spread the word about it.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It's too bad there used to be this app called Doge Rain, and maybe someone should take this idea and make a new app for the Lightning Network called Lightning Rain. But basically what Doge Rain was is you would install this program on your iPhone, and it basically has a Doge wallet, or your account is linked to a wallet, something like that. And then you put a little bit of Doge in there, and then you can dump it on the audience. And what was great is you would just dump it across the whole world, or you could limit it to dump only on people within like a mile of you. So if you had everyone in the audience install this Doge Rain app, and sadly it's no longer in service, but it was really cool. You could dump on your audience. So if you were talking and making a speech or something, you could do it. So
and what do you mean dump? Like, how would they receive it?
Oh, you would just it would just kind of it would scan everyone like in the room for geotags, and then it would just send it to their wallets. And Doge was pretty cheap to send at the time, so you could send really small amounts of it, and you would just rain it on the crowd like you were throwing dollar bills on the audience.
Yeah, that's my only issue right now. I don't want to pay transaction fees for a mobile phone wallet for some Bitcoin right now.
That's the rub. Yeah, you could do. They used to have it where you could send Coinbase to Coinbase transactions through the email or things like that, and you could email people a very small amount of Bitcoin, even though that's not really sending Bitcoin, but it kind of works.
Yeah. Dogs are going off. All right, well, I gotta get my dogs because they're going off at something, so I'll let you go.
Cool, Matt. Well, thanks for the call, and good luck spreading Bitcoin with your band. Even just telling the people, hey, like, get into Bitcoin, Google Bitcoin, and maybe they'll become curious about it.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna set up free Bitcoins. That way they can use it at the door and get in for free. I don't mind paying the shit if it's gonna spread the word.
There you go. Sounds like a plan. All right, well, give us a call anytime.
All right, later.
And you can call us now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word, anywhere in the world. It's amazing. People are talking in the chat. They said that they watched Network 1976 and they enjoyed it. Good call. Network is a great movie. We're promoting movies this week, Network and Idiocracy. Check out Idiocracy by Mike Judge, creator of Beavis and Butthead and Silicon Valley. Just a fantastic documentary about our times. What if only the stupid people were breeding? Posits Idiocracy. And have some great conversations in the chat too about Network. We had a good comment the other day Someone else really enjoyed it, really enjoyed the dramatic aspects of the movie, and that in many ways it's a complicated movie. It's not the kind of movie they'd make these days. It doesn't have a clear hero, doesn't have a straightforward plot line, not really a satisfying ending, though it's definitely an ending. It's just a great movie. Network is a fantastic movie. So also, my brother was watching Back to the Future yesterday. Check out Back to the Future. Maybe you're a crazy young person, you've never heard of Back to the Future, you've seen the poster or something, but it's hard to say. It's hard to say perfect movie, but Back to the Future might be a perfect movie. The way that everything fits together and interlocks, and the more you watch it, the more little things that you see. It's a lot like Casablanca, something like that. Perfect movie. But maybe we could get just one more call in before the 10 o'clock hour. If you call us now on Skype World Crypto Network, share your thoughts on Bitcoin, the altcoins, some of these movies. Maybe you already watch AP Bio. Maybe you've been watching AP Bio from the beginning and you're just saying to Thomas, you're saying, you're so late on the AP Bio bandwagon. Patton Oswalt for life, man. Come on. I wish I knew Dennis's name. I would drop his name too. But AP Bio, fun show. They're saying, watch Run from the Cure. I don't know what that is. But yeah, Idiocracy and Network. Go watch those movies. Tell me what you think. Come back and just randomly say that you liked it or you didn't like it. That's cool. And check out the Backyard Ska scene in Las Vegas. Or in Los Angeles, sorry. He's promoting his show. So we got good stuff going on here on Bitcoin. Remember, we don't make you wait till the end. You could go read CoinDesk's article about trading right now, and they'll tell you all the numbers up and down. Remember, everybody does the same thing. They draw these lines on the chart. Look, we're through the lines. Oh, no, not the lines. And you can all learn about all these lines on CoinDesk. You can just read the view for yourself. It's free. It's amazing. And it doesn't take 3 hours. The price of Bitcoin is $6,120. If we zoom out, seems like a long time ago we were at $9,900. Seems like a really long time ago we were at $19,666. But it doesn't seem too long ago that we were back at, $600, $700. Most of Bitcoin's existence is over here in the below $1,000 level. So, but that's just the history. Doesn't really show you the future. Though I can tell you in the future, you won't be able to stay at the Riviera Casino. They demolished it. Hello, you're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hey, Thomas, this is Steve from Raleigh, North Carolina. Can you hear me?
Hey, Steve. Sure, I can hear you great. What's on your mind today about Bitcoin?
Well, I just wanted to call in. I love your show, man. I actually called in during your Happening party a couple years ago.
Nice, man. We need to have another one of those in a few years, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I've been getting pretty active in Bitcoin. I've been in since 2013. But yeah, I developed this visualizer that Jameson Lopp tweeted out and crashed my website. I messaged you about that last week.
Oh, nice. What's the link right now? Maybe send it to me. We can check it out. But
yeah, definitely. But also, I wanted to talk a little more about the issue that a couple callers ago brought up about Trezor and trusting this creation of private and public keys.
Okay. And do you think we have too much trust in Trezor and Ledger, or is there a technological way we can restore our wallets?
So I think, yeah, as long as you follow BIP39, I'm pretty sure there's a number of wallets that subscribe to that, and you can restore your backup keys. But to me, the issue comes down to the actual trust of the random number generator. Mm-hmm. So does Trezor use a random number generator that depends on a seed that is truly gotten right there at the time, and that this seed is not communicated in any way to any other device?
So
So I don't
there's two potential problems there. So one problem is accidental or lack of knowledge, right? They do a bad job with the randomness. Somebody else figures it out, ruins everything. The other problem is more like sneakiness, right? If somebody is sneaking into their program, or if somebody is storing the value for later, that's a whole separate problem, right?
Yeah, but even if they stored that value, wouldn't they have to communicate that, like the combination of that value plus the randomness? Like,
Well, remember they could wait, right? Like, I mean, there could be a secret in there and it's going to send out the private keys in 3 days, 6 months, and 15 hours. And everything is totally fine until we hit that one point. And then at that point, the secret code ignites and somebody gets very rich, right?
right, exactly. Yeah, it's like, does this device, can it communicate that? Like in your example, like when that time comes, something clicks over and then so it's doing more than just signing messages and broadcasting messages. There's another kind of like channel of communication for that to happen. Does that make sense? Like it all comes down to this. Is it communicating something besides signed messages, right?
Yep. Or is it
Yeah.
capable of? Yeah.
So I was thinking about like, you mentioned about something about somebody kind of doing this by hand on a YouTube video. I saw somebody do like a hash function by hand, but I haven't seen anyone do the whole kind of like randomness elliptic curve calculation and then like double hashing. And it would just be awesome if there really was a way to do the process all the way from randomness to private key to public key to Bitcoin address, like either by hand or kind of like an old school, like mechanical calculator, like anything that wasn't electronic and had the capability of communicating. Like I've been thinking about this for a while and just.
You could build one of those dice rolling machines with the Lego Mindstorms, and they just take a picture of the dice and the machine rolls the dice. That'd be pretty close.
Yeah, yeah, like that. But then you'd also have to, so it's not just getting the randomness, it's actually creating the public key and the Bitcoin address from the randomness. So you'd need some kind of calculator that performed elliptic curve and double hash that was not electronic in a way. Like to get a public key, private key pair that is completely offline, not trusting anyone, it'd have to be like a non-electronic form of calculation from the randomness to the Bitcoin address or something like that. Anyway, I just wanted to like share my thought process on that with like your listeners and maybe someone.
I'm picturing a bunch of cranks cranking together and turning some wheels and a whole Rube Goldberg machine. And also, if it was this easy, it would be so cool because I could do a video, and even if it took a few hours or something, I could put up a donation address and I could roll the dice for 2 hours and write it down and create a key from a pencil and paper. Maybe there could be a little kit that would sell you the dice, that kind of thing. But I'm afraid it might be hundreds of dice rolls. I don't know what I'd be signing up for. What do you think it would be? Is there possible it could be like shorter or longer depending on the dice rolls that I get? Or do you think it would always be pretty much the same amount of time?
Yeah, I don't think it would. The randomness part would be that much actually, because if you look in the BIP39, the list of 24 words, or the list of words from which you select 24, is only 2,048. So you only have to pick 24 random words from a list of 2,048. So you could do that with a random dice roll, or you could do that with, you know, some other form, but you just have to do it 24 times, each of which outcome is between 1 and 2,048. So I don't think that the generating of the randomness is actually the hard part. I think the hard part is going, once you get those random 24 words, actually going from 24 words to the, you know, 256-bit private key, and then taking that 256 private key, sending it through elliptic curve and double hash to get Bitcoin address. But yeah, so I actually don't think the randomness is the hard part. I think it's this huge like mechanical contraption that you visualize that I think would just be totally awesome if someone did one of these mechanical devices to go from random.
It's never too late, and a lot of people are talented builders in our audience. Maybe they'll be interested in building one of these things. I know a friend of mine did make a blockchain clock, and it kind of reminded me of your visualizer here. And it kind of just displayed the blockchain and what was going on in the physical world with lights and a little screen and so forth. But maybe you just want to tell us about this visualizer that we're watching. What's going on here on the Bitcoin blockchain?
Oh yeah, sure. So I didn't call in to like promote the website or anything. Actually, if too many
people are interested, and I'm curious to know what's going on. I see a bunch of lines being made. Things are happening.
Oh, okay. So this is the blockchain at my house, like, my node. And in the blockchain, you have both like a time and an address. So if someone sent you Bitcoin 2 years ago, then that Bitcoin stored in time 2 years ago in the blockchain. So every time you send Bitcoin from one person to another person, you're kind of unlocking it from your address and sending it to their address. So that would show up as a line that goes back 2 years in the past. So,
so these are the age of these blocks, or the age of these transactions. So we're seeing a lot of blocks moving from last week or last month. If it would be quite something if we saw one that stretched. Oh, there's one last year. So there's a long line. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So something that people used to talk about more, don't talk about very much, is called the age of coins, or the days destroyed of coins, which is kind of a measure. Like if I were to aggregate all this information at once, I could kind of show, okay, all of a sudden we have a lot of coins that are moving that were stored like 2 years ago. Like, does that mean people are moving coins out of storage to an exchange? Does that mean people are just moving coins from one form of storage to another form of storage? Like, it's hard to tell what that means. But it's really kind of an interesting feature of Bitcoin transactions that people used to talk about more, but I don't see many people talking about it.
Yeah, we definitely used to talk about days destroyed a lot more. And I imagine recently, with the price of Bitcoin breaking and continuing to go down, that we did see a lot of people pull their funds out of cold storage, move them to an exchange. We're seeing some transactions here from 6 months or last month, one or two from last year, but we haven't seen any 3-year-old transactions or 2009 transactions or anything like that so far. We've just been watching recently.
Yeah, I see them every once in a while. You can kind of pause it at the bottom there if you're quick enough. If you see one you kind of want to look at more. And then the colors of the wall show the value. For a rough estimate, I just put one Bitcoin at $10,000 because that's about the time I started making the website. Yes, so a yellow block there, I think, is what, 10 million or 100 million. I actually don't have it up right now. But the colors are an indication of a value. And just like that cool visualizer, the bubbles, like BitListen, where you can see the bubbles rise.
Oh, sure, yeah. I played that way back in the day, early Mad Bitcoins.
Yeah, that was awesome. That inspired me. And I do see $10 million transactions go through kind of like once a day or something, and it's just like, wow, people are really, either someone's really sending someone $10 million, or they're just kind of changing their form of storage. There's no way to really know that, but it's so awesome that people are really using this network for such value. It's really cool.
Yeah, I think it would be great to see something like this in a lobby of a Bitcoin company. Maybe they could put it on a big screen and just let it run all the time. It's just really interesting to watch. And you can turn this on your own screen at home at visualblockchain.org. Try not to crash the website, though. Visit slowly. So.
Yeah, I'm not a web developer. If anybody's like a pro web developer, I just hacked this thing together. If anyone's like pro with like Java, what are they called? Web sockets, and anyone really knows how to optimize this stuff, like and wants to work on this, please like get in touch. I'm Steve at visualblockchain.org. So
very cool. And maybe you'll have to try open sourcing this, put this out on GitHub, and then get some
Yeah,
developers that
yeah, I
way.
do. I need to do that as well. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much, Steve, for the call, and we'll check out visualblockchain.org and give us a call anytime. Good questions and stuff, man.
Thanks, Thomas. You're awesome, man. I love your show so much. Talk to you later.
Thanks so much. And thanks to everybody who called. We had some good calls today. Probably going to end the call-in portion of the show for now. Maybe do a little reading from the book, and then we'll be about done for today. Remember, we are coming back later today, so be sure to subscribe to the World Crypto Network down below. We're going to be talking about the time value of Bitcoin, a very interesting article on Medium. And we're going to talk to the author of that article. First, just a little bit of To Satoshi with Love. Last time, Satoshi Nakamoto, perhaps a pink space alien, met John Front. He met his friend Mara. She tried to prove that he was or wasn't Satoshi Nakamoto, was unconvinced and forced him to code. Now Satoshi's working on side chains for Chain River. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is fighting against Bitcoin, telling the people not to use it, which had the opposite effect. Let's find out what's happening on this episode of To Satoshi with Love. We just had Anderson Cooper and Donna Brazil are arguing about whether or not Satoshi is real. They all think that he's fake. He's a fake space alien to promote Chain River. Mara brought her hand to her mouth and faked a yawn. Well, boys, it's time to get going. It's well past my bedtime. Derek and I had played a few more rounds of Call of Duty while Satoshi and Mara debugged the code and chatted with other Chain River developers over the net. They were ecstatic and very excited to test Satoshi's code. They didn't know how to fix the algorithm either. Go? Where are we going? Mara smiled. I figured I'd take you boys home with me. I blushed. Satoshi looked concerned. I don't think I can go outside again. Too many cameras last time. That's why I got you this. It's all the rage in the startup community. It's an American Giant hoodie. Ooh, American Giant, I said, turning my head to get a better look at the sweatshirt. Hey, wait a minute. Is that mine? I did find it in your closet, Mara said, grinning like the cat who ate the canary. So I suppose it would be yours. Come on, Satoshi, try it on. Does it fit? Satoshi tried it on. It fit pretty well, but the sleeves were a little long. He pushed them up a little, but didn't roll them so as not to expose more of his pink skin. I don't see why this is better than my coat, Satoshi said. Here's one reason, Mara said, pulling the hood over his head, covering his eyes. Then she pulled out a large pair of Elvis sunglasses and put them on his face. There, perfect, she said with a smile. Satoshi pulled the hood around a little so he could see and then turned and looked at me. Do I look all right? You look great. You look like the king. That's good, he said. I always wanted to be the king. Well, you're Elvis, not a real king. But if you're taking the hoodie, please feel free to leave your trench coat here. We at Chain River would be glad to hold on to it for you, Derek said, always trying to get on Satoshi's good side. Hey, Elvis may not be a real king, but he'll always be the king of our hearts. I didn't really like Derek anyway, and if he was going to insult Elvis around me, he better be ready to throw down. Yeah, what do you mean Elvis is not the king? Satoshi said behind his Elvis sunglasses. It was a good disguise, but it made him hard to take him seriously. He's not all wrong, Mara said, stepping in to settle the dispute before I could surprise Derek with a punch to the face. Elvis was a rock star. He was the king of rock before Michael Jackson became the king of pop. Later, Howard Stern became the king of all media. Stern rules, Satoshi said. How do you not know of Elvis, but you've heard of Howard Stern? Satoshi just shrugged. Either way, you're the man. I gave him a fist bump. Stern supporters gotta stick together. Anyway, you can keep the jacket, Derek, with my compliments. Thanks to you both and Chain River for being such lovely hosts. Satoshi folded the trench coat and handed it to Derek. Derek accepted it with great reverence, like it was an original copy of the U.S. Constitution. No, please. Thank you, Satoshi. Thank you so much. It has truly been an honor. As we began to move towards the elevator, Satoshi pushed the button. Mara looked back over her shoulder. Derek, you have big plans already for that trench coat, don't you? I was thinking of a glass display case, Derek said. This is, after all, the coat of Satoshi Nakamoto. Mannequin? Actually, I was thinking we get the guys over at Madame Tussauds to make us a wax figure, pink skin and all. Very Chain River of you, she said, getting on the elevator as the doors began to close. Always finding a way to spend that money. The elevator dinged, and we were going down. That's it for this brief reading of To Satoshi with Love. Remember, you could always donate Bitcoin to this show with the audience down below or on your screen, or sign up for the World Crypto Network Patreon or Mad Bitcoins Patreons at patreon.com. Until next time, bye-bye.